Welcome to Box Recaps. Today I'm going to explain the movie Cryo, released in the year 2022. The movie starts and we see a man telling us about the Lazarus Pit. He says that he read about it and then tried to bring his mother back to life, but that did not happen. The scene then changes to a woman coming out of a cryo chamber. She tries to get over the effects of the cryosleep. As she looks around, she notices a bloody handprint on the wall in front of her. She then finds a blonde woman who is hiding in a corner. They are then approached by two men who ask them their names. This is when the realization hits all of them that they do not remember anything. Another man comes out of a room and he panics. He keeps asking where he is. They then realize that they have been in cryosleep, and this newcomer tells them that he was the engineer of these chambers, but he says that there should be an inventor as well. The engineer then tells everyone to relax, adding that they might get their memories back after a while. The first woman sees a machete in her dream, the bloody handprint, and then the engineer wakes her up. He gives everyone flashlights, and the woman notices patches with numbers on everyone's shirt. The blonde woman is number 5, the engineer is number 1, and the other man is number 3. The woman who woke up first is number 2, and they mark the other man as 0. As they walk around trying to look for the inventor, they come across an airlock but decide not to go close to it. The number 2 comes across a man standing in a hallway, but when she tries to see the man with her flashlight again, the man just disappears. 0, on the other hand, discovers a shattered glass and a radio. 2 finds a camera, but when she's looking away, the camera plays a short video in which the number 2 herself can be seen, but she does not notice it as she's looking away. 2 then finds a drawing of 9 spheres of heaven and a copy of the Divine Comedy as well. 2 again sees a man and tries to approach him, but when she's about to touch him, she hears 5 calling for help. She gets distracted for a moment, and the man disappears yet again. Numbers 0 and 1 come across a pool of fresh blood. They presume it to be the inventors. There's also a machete. 0 tries to leave this scene, but 1 refuses to let him go away. 5 then asks how long could they have been asleep, and 1 tells them that they must have been asleep for around 1,000 years. 0 then recalls that he used to be in technology and communications in the military, as he tries to fix the generator to get the power back. While doing this, he gets electrocuted and his back is injured. 5 goes on to nurse him right away. She now remembers that she used to be a doctor. They then decide to look around to get something to eat. 1 comes across a room that has computers and food, but the room is locked. They decide to figure out the code later, and 1 shows up with some drinks and food which they can use for the next whole week if they're careful. Number 2, on the other hand, keeps remembering the machete and the bloody handprint. As they play cards and enjoy some music, 5 starts feeling sick, so they put her to sleep. The group thinks that the girl must have gotten sick in her cryosleep. 2 then records a video in which she wants to make sure they remember all the things from now on. 1 is an engineer, 3 is a biochemist, 0 is in technology, and 5 is a doctor. 2 now also remembers that she is a psychologist. The next day, 5 is in the bath when the door behind her opens suddenly. She feels like she is being watched by someone, but the door closes before she can see who is out there. She rejoins the group and notices that 0 is not among them. We then see that 0 also has a revolver, about which he does not tell the others. Later on, 0 gets back and 5 checks in on his injured back, but her hands keep shaking. Later, 1 discovers a hidden camera inside the wall when he is trying to take a look at 5's chamber. 0 and 2 are sitting together having a psychoanalysis session when 0 tells her that he remembers talking to her before he went into cryosleep. 3, on the other hand, manages to get a lock of 5's hair and checks it in the lab to find out what has been causing her illness. He later tells her that cryosleep has affected her cellular process, but 5 does not believe it. 0 then notices that some of the food is missing. He asks everyone if they took it, but all of them deny taking anything. They then realize that someone else is also there. 1 is looking into 5's chamber, and 2 catches him doing it. He tells her that he has found a microphone in the chamber. The group sits together and talks about the microphone and the radio. 5 points out that they can talk to people outside through the radio, but 0 says that the frequency is not going to cross the walls of the building they're in. While 5 and 0 say that they should go outside, 3 does not agree. He says that they should check the air at first. We then see 1 talking to the hidden camera on the wall. He tells the inventor that he knows that he is watching them. He says that he will not let anyone tamper with the experiment. 5 is in a session with 2 when she remembers that she volunteered for this experiment to make an impact in her own field. She then starts shouting and tells 2 it's time. 0 shows up and tells them it's time. 2 is surprised to hear them both saying the same thing. On the other hand, 3 catches a rat and decides to use it to test the atmosphere in the outside world. When he does that, he sees that the rat has literally turned into bones. He then wears a suit and decides to go outside himself while he stays in contact with the others through a radio. He gets back inside after a few minutes, telling everyone that the whole world is poisoned. 1 says that the inventor will show up to save them, but 0 says that the inventor must be dead. 0 then starts hallucinating and gets in bed. Later, 2 remembers the word Lazarus and makes her way into a dark hallway where she runs into 0. He tells her that this place is full of hidden cameras and microphones, so he is trying to take a close look at the place. She then confronts him about the gun he has, and he tells her that all of them must have secrets. It is now the 4th day, and 2 is doing a psychoanalysis on 1, when she asks him about 5's chamber. He says that there is someone else who tampered with her chamber. He says that someone has gotten into the chambers, and he is pretending to be one of them. 1 says that until the inventor shows up, he's going to keep doing what he can to make things calm and normal in here. 2 then asks him a little more about the inventor, but he tells her that he cannot really describe him. 2 then concludes that the inventor made a big mistake in this experiment, because he has taken way more than just their memories, if they look at 5's condition. She then reads a little more on the inventor, and remembers that the inventor used to talk about the 9 spheres a lot. So she tries using the password 009 on the locked room, but it does not work. Later, 0 again says that their food is being stolen. All of them get into an argument, but 2 remains calm. They then suspect that 2 must know something, but 0 then starts hallucinating a dark figure in front of him. And this time he chases the figure, while 5 also starts hallucinating, as she goes on to say that she is in hell. 2 of them remembers that the 9th sphere is not in heaven, in fact it is the 9th circle of hell. She then picks up the Divine Comedy, finds her photo in there. She also finds photos of 1, 3, and 5. There's also another person who is number 4, but that person's face has been torn from the photo. She tells everyone about it, and the group confronts 0. They ask him about the number 4. He, however, takes out his gun and tells everyone to stay away from him. He tells them that he is who he claims to be, and leaves. 5's condition worsens, and 3 goes to see 0, telling him to help them treat 5. But when 0 goes in there, he is attacked by 1, who knocks him out. 2 is seen recording a video of herself, where she is shown saying that the experiment failed, because she too has started hallucinating now. 1, in the meantime, goes on to torture 0 to make him reveal where the gun is. It is day 5. 3 checks in on 5, but she does not respond. She has gone pale, and when 3 sees that there is no one around, he goes on to kiss her. 2 catches him in the act and shoves him away from her. She shakes 5 to try and wake her up. 5 does not respond, and the whole group now gathers. 3 says that they should put her back to cryosleep to save her. In the meantime, 0 frees himself, but 1 scares him away using a machete. He takes 0 close to the airlock, where 2 begs 0 to reveal where the gun is, and this fight will be over. 1, however, says that even if 0 decides to tell them where the gun is, it does not matter because he is going to get rid of him anyway. He pushes 0 into the airlock, and he is nowhere to be seen. The others now turn on 1, as they accuse him of killing 0. They again end up getting into an argument when 3 interrupts them, saying they should be trying to treat 5. They now have no choice but to put her back into her chamber, so they do just that. 1 then goes on to find a hammer and keeps banging on the lock room to open it with force. The door is, however, too strong, so it does not budge. Later he tries to find the machete, but it is nowhere to be found. He goes on to ask 2 and 3 about it, but they claim to know nothing about it. 1 then says that he is sure there is someone else in the facility, about whom none of them knows. The 3 then decide that they are going to stay together all the time, because this mystery figure could hurt them. This is the 6th day. These 3 have now started growing suspicious of each other. They then go on to remember everything that has happened in this building so far. 2 now goes on to say that this experiment has been conducted to test their memories. This cryosleep would be useless if they cannot even remember their names after waking up. 3 also thinks the same way. He goes on to say that they were deprived of oxygen when they were in cryosleep, and the sleep has taken away their memories. They decide that they're going to conduct an experiment just to be sure. One puts on an oxygen tank and goes on to inhale from it to give some oxygen to his brain. He thinks that if he's able to get some oxygen up his brain, it might trigger some of his memories. After a few seconds, it gets too much, and he goes on to get rid of the mask. He then tells everyone that he just remembered that he did make an error while he was setting up Five's chamber. He says that if she is to get out of her chamber, she's not going to survive. Just then, one goes unconscious, only to get up again. He is suddenly very angry. He goes on to corner 2. He accuses him of everything that has been going on with them. And just as his tone starts to get aggressive, Zero shows up yet again and goes on to attack 1. He pins him up against the wall. He then goes on to drag 1 back toward his cryo chamber and puts him to sleep, freezing him. Zero then goes on to tell 2 to go with him, telling her that the air outside is not all poisonous. This is when 3 shows up and goes on to stab Zero with the machete. This is when it is revealed that the day 3 stepped outside, he saw that everything was normal. There are beautiful plants out there, and the atmosphere is also great. They can easily live out there in the outside world, but he did not tell the group about it. He rather told them that it was toxic outside, just because he wanted to keep 5 in cryosleep, because he reveals that he really finds her beautiful in cryosleep, so he does not want it to change. 3 tries to kill 2, but she runs away. She comes across an injured Zero, whom she asks about the gun, but he tells her to go to hell, and 2 understands that it is a clue. She manages to get back to the study, where she finds the books Divine Comedy, and this is where she finds the gun. On gunpoint, she puts 3 into his cryo chamber. She then drags a dying Zero to put him back in his cryo chamber to save his life. As she does that, she leaves her bloody handprint on the wall. 2 then contemplates taking her own life, but decides against it. She thinks that she might have failed the experiment. She then takes out an untorn photo with 1 in Zero. We learn that Zero is actually the real 4th member. She finally opens the locked door using the code 002. She finds all kinds of supplies, including the videos of the group. She sees another chamber, opens it, and an old man comes out. She realizes that this is her dad, the inventor. They realize that they have now regained their memories, so he decides that he is now going to have a bigger sample for his next test. The inventor then tells her to turn off the chambers, but when she argues that the others will die if she does that, the inventor tells her that it is better for them to die in their sleep. The inventor then says that the story of the Lazarus Pit is what inspired him to conduct this experiment. 2 then finds out that she has been repeating the same experiment again and again. She realizes that since everyone loses their memories, the same series of events keeps happening every time. 2 then goes on to realize that she is the one who framed Zero, despite knowing that his gun had no bullets. She did it so that he could come back to save her. She then feels guilty for what she has done, and goes to Zero's chamber to apologize to him. She does not want to live with this guilt, and would rather continue the experiment and the same series of events, so she gets into the cryo chamber to wipe her memories again. This is the 7th day. Inventor is the only one up in the building. He arranges everything in the same way. He goes on to open 2's chamber, and then puts himself to cryosleep. In the last scene of the movie, we see 2 waking up again, and it is implied that the experiment will continue just like that. And with that, the movie comes to an end. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.